We're on the Pacific Rim of Fire. These lakes are all crater lakes. The hills you see are big lava flows. Mountain blew up in 1886. Tarawera, right next to it, the eighth wonder of the world, the pink and white terraces. That's what happened. Buried our villages, devastated this place. So our people migrated to this wonderful valley. Why? Because it had all of this wonderful heat, had the hot pools, had the mud pools you could use for medicinal purposes. They developed their villages right smack in the middle of that, and it lives today. They grew their economy on the back of this cultural tourism. When they changed, went from the place where the mountain erupted to here, they watched the visitors come in, and the visitor was standing on the other side of the stream. And so they asked them if they'd like to come across and join them. So the old people would come across on stepping stones, put them on their back and piggyback them across the creek. And then they started that economy, rescuing themselves from all of that devastation. And it's a place where culture comes first and commerce will follow. This place generates about $25 million a year in revenue, but most importantly, it employs over 100 people, 90% of them are local Maori. Not just the revenue through the gate, but also the value to the families who are earning a living. This is an example of how culture can front-end trade.
Why should we as Māori, as Indigenous people, take an interest in trade? As a nation, we produce more than we consume. So the fundamentals of economics mean we've got to trade. We've got to get our feet under the table and involved in those discussions. But I think because the economics are so compelling, our government is really sitting behind this. Now we've got to make it work. We've got to get out there and make it work.
You can't talk about governance and interconnect between communities without talking about personal relationships. In terms of corporate or cultural governance, it must be underpinned by a good foundation, and good foundation is about relationships. If we can't, as a non-Indigenous and Indigenous communities, come together and sit and share a meal and share stories and conversation and song and art and express each other's value, we're never going to succeed in any notion of good governance or a collective future moving forward.
When it comes to culture and trade, I don't think that there's a real difference in that. I think it depends on the nation, the individuals that are doing that kind of trade, making sure that they're holding true to their beliefs, their core principles. And those are all embedded in our religion and our way of life. And so those often come through in who we are, what we're about, and what our principles are, so that they can continue to trade in that manner.
In some of the work that we've done at home in the World Heritage Area, we very quickly acknowledged that small micro governance structures that they've been very strong and very effective in their management of place and of culture and of well-being and the future of young people. How do we keep the integrity of that and bring them to nation or ecosystem-wide structures? None of it's done without hard work. None of it's done without good partnership and a bit of faith.
We've brought our value systems down from the time of first creation. It created an intimate understanding of the relationship between the heavens, the earth, and everything in between. And all our knowledge systems were born of that. Respect, manaakitanga, raising of things to a higher level. And the world can benefit from that type of thinking. I think that's what Māori and Indigenous people can bring to this world. If we do business that way, well, it's resilient, it's sustainable, and it's respectful.